doesn't necessarily put us off the television, but it does take away the chances of anyone watching without coming out and saying, yes, I am, what we call it is a pervert, because that's what they're actually labeling people, is I have to sign, as a subscriber, I would have to sign a card that says, yes, I am Ms. Bird, and I watch Channel 35, and I want it unscrambled from the hours of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
So that was the second part of it. See, it wasn't just the scrambling that would put us off the air. It's the fact that people had to request this channel to be put on the air.
Well, so what's wrong with that?
Because you come out of the closet. You lose your chances of first-time viewers.
Confidentiality was never there. Time Warner's not confidential with their lists. They didn't even, the judge who heard this case didn't even get a card in the mail asking whether or not...
Did the judge want to watch your show?
Sure.
Of course, he actually did say that he was a participant of viewing those type of shows, and he never got a card in the mail. And a lot of viewers of mine had stated that they never got these cards. So it wasn't even given out to all the subscribers. It seems that it was picked and choose to who they're going to give the subscribers.
Well, the war on freedom of speech is still ongoing as the war on porn continues. And, I keep saying this, and I warn this. This is from both sides of the aisle. When you go in to vote, know who you're voting for. Learn the backgrounds of the people that you're voting for. Are they within the interests that you want as an American citizen? Because it seems like a lot of these politicians that they get these jobs, you vote into office, continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And some of it's they're going through the entire Constitution: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. They want control. Do you understand? They want control of your lives. They want to ban the stoves. They want to be able to ban your travel, ban how you get from point A to point B. What type of groceries you should be eating, what you should be doing as far as your medical, what you should be watching on the internet or on television. I mean, this is awful, what's been going on lately. And if you're in Louisiana, you're probably, unless you have a VPN, you're probably having a hard time getting on adult sites. But before we get into this, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for those tuning in. We are on the march to get to 1,000. Right now, our current goal is 700 by the end of February. Let's see where we get there. Let's try to get there. And also at BitChute, we are pushing to get to 200, which we are about 10 away on there over at BitChute. We do appreciate that. And also all of our other social media platforms, Odyssey and Rumble, which we're still very young in those sites. We want to get more forward on there, and we will be making exclusive content for those sites as the changes of YouTube policy is now starting to take effect, which we weren't told about. As myself, I've gotten an age-restricted video that, it basically, I don't know why it was. And I've already submitted my challenges for it, and I've lost the challenges. And I still do not understand. I cannot get a response to what is on that video that makes it age restricted. But thank you those who have been there for us. We do really appreciate it. And continue to comment. We appreciate that. So out of XBiz, if you haven't known that this has happened, and if you're down south ways near Louisiana, be sure to turn on those VPNs once you get there. Louisianans forced to enter government ID to look at porn online. People in Louisiana who wish to visit adult websites are now required to enter their government ID following the implementation of a controversial new state law promoting by a religious activist and Republican legislator, which came in effect. This is over a week ago. Several Louisiana residents reported today on Twitter that their attempts to freely browse on Pornhub are now thwarted by a screen demanding that they enter their driver's license information or an alternative form of state ID. Please verify your age to access Pornhub, a banner request explaining that Louisiana laws now requires us to put in place a process for verifying the age of users who connect to our site from Louisiana. The privacy and security of Pornhub community is our priority, the message continues, and we thank you for your cooperation. XBiz has received reports from adult Louisiana residents who have tried to use the state's LA wallet software to verify their dates of birth and have been unsuccessfully describing it as buggy. The usual demands to provide government papers to access sexual content online, a first in the United States, is the direct result of Louisiana's HB 142, which was sponsored by the anti-porn activist, faith-based therapist, and local politician Lori Schlager. As experts reported, Schlager spent last week of 2022 promoting the new law with the Louisiana media, which reports that the law age verification for any website that contains 33% or more pornographic material. And guess what? It probably means anime as well. Schlager has not indicated on how much calculations were made by whom or what constitutes pornographic material. Exactly. See, the thing about it is, with these laws, and I said this in the Icelandic video, if you haven't seen that yet, who deems what is pornographic? Pornography, Schlegel declares to WAFB TV, Chris Rosario, is destroying our children, and they're getting unlimited access to it on the internet. And so if pornography companies aren't going to be responsible, I thought we need to go ahead and hold them accountable.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Industry attorney Corey Silverstein of adultattorney.com and adult.law told XBiz that he is not surprised to hear that Pornhub and other websites are attempting to adhere to the Louisiana's HB 142. It is the responsibility thing to do. No, they don't have a choice. They have no choice at all. According to Silverstein, since the law has been signed by Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards in June 22nd, he has encouraged all other entertainment business to meet with their attorneys to discuss the business models to get an understanding of both whether HB 142 applies to them, and if so, the measures needed to be put in place before the law became effective. Make no mistake that this law now has full force and in effect in the adult industry. Business not familiar with the law should be treated HB 142 as a priority. However, Silverstein also noted that, in his opinion, the Louisiana's age verification law is unconstitutional, correct, and a minimum violates the First Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the Dormant Commerce Clause. Unfortunately, due to the law having civil remedies versus civil penalties, a constitutional challenge will have to wait until some time attempts to sue the adult entertainment provider under the law. This was unintentional on the drafters' part, as the last time Louisiana attempted to play this dangerous game of speech suppression, HB 153, was ultimately and correctly killed in the federal court. Now, the thing is that's not in this article is that actually this may be overturned, that it does violate federal rules and regulations because the feds already regulate what's on the internet. So basically, as a state entity, the state entity cannot overrule what the feds have already in place as far as in the FCC rules and regulations and internet rules. They can't do this. So eventually, I expect this to get overturned. How long, I don't know. This is going to take, especially what's been going on at the House, and a lot of things that are changes that are going on right now at a new Congress. But understand this. What do they proclaim as pornographic? Now, there's a lot of adult films, and I'm not talking pornographic, that are on HBO Max, that is on many other sites. Are they going to block them? I don't think so, for a reason. On the corporate end on there, they will be getting major lawsuits out of Warner and many others, but it may still happen. Now, stuff like Crunchyroll, a couple of the anime websites on there, they're going to be blocked. They're most likely going to be blocked because basically if they have certain items, and that's the curious thing, and that's why I think Crunchyroll removes certain things off their website. Some of the nudity off their website recently, there's been a couple of ones that have disappeared on there. But, when you look at, say, anime, and I'm not talking about hentai, you have stuff like some of the stuff that's in the isekai and the harem animes and stuff like that. That will be outright banned. What about movies like Heavy Metal, which has sex in their movie? Will that be banned? Think about that for a minute. They say, well, we're trying to protect children. Okay. Then why aren't you trying to shut down TikTok out of the United States? Because most kids get their porn out of sites like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Are those sites getting age verification? Most likely, no, they're not getting age verification. And you look at this and say to yourself, the hypocrisy of government when it comes down to censoring one thing and not another. This is where the money, where people have their money. This is groups that are pumping money into censoring you, the American public. But when it comes to the major corporations, they won't touch them. And especially stuff that comes out of China. This is how deep China is in on there. China is the major problem with the mental health issues of our children. Also, then you're looking at shit that's been going on all over the country with these drag queen hours and shit like that. But they have, they have no problem with that in a lot of places. You saw the video from Florida where, guys dressed like reindeers, performing acts that you're not supposed to show for children. But, you say, well, they should be there. They should learn something. No, they should not. They should not be there. It is an adult show. You would not take a child to a strip show. Then they should not be at a drag show. This has nothing to do with drag queens in general. I'm okay with drag queens. I've been to drag show, real true drag shows, and they're fun. They're great. It's like the old school vaudeville when it comes to the drag shows and stuff like that. And the thing about it is, people says, well, you're against drag queens. No, drag queens are telling you, true drag queens are telling you, no, don't take your kids to these things. Don't put drag queen hours at libraries. They're telling you that. You have gays against groomers that are saying this. In fact, when you take a moment, check out the Tim Pool interview with the person who created Gays versus Groomers, which should have aired already. Yeah, that was a live feed on that, which was last week. Do check that out. But like once again, and think about it is, and here's the big part about this is, entering your government ID, identifying yourself that you're watching porn. That is a problem itself, because once you enter that number in there, that's going somewhere. That's identifying yourself to the government, to your local government, that you watch porn. I said this before. Many years ago in my public access days, there was a lawsuit that was put out against Time Warner. Time Warner, back in the early days, owned a cable outlet out here, which is now, it's now here in New York, it's now Spectrum. Used to be called Manhattan Cable TV. Manhattan Cable TV ran pretty much from where the Staten Island Ferry is all the way down to about, not straight into Harlem, but I think it like almost to the beginning of Harlem. From there, it was like Uptown Cable, or Manhattan Cable, which is RCN back then. But the thing is that you had Manhattan Cable TV, and they had what they call the Channel J. Most people, if you've heard people talk about this, and they said, oh yeah, they had the free porn on cable TV back in the day. And that's right. And it was not, let's put it this way. The type of adult material that was on public access and least access back in the day, I think today it's a little bit more rough, what you can get online, and that's okay, because there was censorship of the adult, because I mean a lot of this adult stuff ran late night from 10 p.m. on straight until 5 in the morning. And you had the likes of Midnight Blue, which, we've discussed. Al Goldstein here, Screw Magazine publisher. He had his own TV show, Midnight Blue, which you can get the best of on DVD right now. You had Robin Bird, former adult star, who was in the movie Silky and known for Debbie Does Dallas. She had multiple shows. One was a Health for Women. The other one was her famous Robin Bird show, which she showcased strippers on there, and she talked about sex and stuff like that on the channel itself. It was a sexy show. You could see clips of it throughout the internet. She still does have a website. She's still out there. There was other shows, Midnight Interlude, a couple of other shows that were throughout there. And there was also the gay cable network, which was a channel that was actually was a show dedicated to gay health, gay sex lifestyles, and stuff like that. Back in the 80s and 90s, you had the height of the AIDS crisis, and stuff like that. Was also a help to the gay community back then, which fell under the same situations of the adult industry, being on least access. But what happened was, when Time Warner took over from Manhattan Cable TV, they made it very difficult. They tried to throw rules and regulations similar to what we're going on through YouTube these days. And what happened was that they decided that at one point that they were going to send out cards to the subscribers of the cable company, that if you wanted to see certain programming on Channel J, at the time it was called Channel J, you had to fill out a card that said, I, John Doe, would like to, and we'll show the clip again from the interview, that basically that I want to receive this information, this program, this type of programming on my cable service. I want it to be unscrambled. But this is outing people. And this is the same thing with the gay cable network. You were outing people you were telling people that you were gaining lists of people that were either gay or wanted pornography. What does that sound like to you? You know, you're making lists of people. That does not sound right, and that's unconstitutional. And that case went before the court, and that basically, you know, they ended up winning that case. You know, Time Warner lost that because basically, you know, it's unconstitutional for what you're doing. You're asking people to sign up for that, whereas your own adult pay-per-view channels, you do not need that. And the thing about it is, you might like says, well, you have to pay. You have to you have to sign up to get that. Is that no? Back in the day, and this is before the internet, the way you got that on pay-per-view was to pick up the phone, dial a certain number, and you were charged. They didn't ask who you were. They didn't ask if you were the actual person who paid the bills. You made the call, and they activated the channel. And it's the same thing with regular pay-per-view. That was back then. Now, times a little bit different. You can add a PIN code to the situation when you order pay-per-view. But back then, you couldn't do that. And that was wrong. That was totally wrong what they were doing. And this Louisiana law is the same thing. They're asking for your information. What are they doing with that information? That's the first thing you got to ask yourself. They're going to make a list. That you don't think they're going to make a list? Trust me, they're going to. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts on this whole situation. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for those tuning in. And I tell you, this is something that we're going to continue to monitor, because this is not going to be the first place that this is going to happen to. Overseas Europe is doing the same thing. And people have fought that on that end. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.